This is my king cake hack, and I've been wanting to share it for a long time. I'm finally getting around to it, so hang out. Hey guys, this is Dawn. Welcome to Gulf Coast October, more specifically, my filthy kitchen. And today I'm going to share something that I've been wanting to do for a long time, but I just hadn't been in the mood to do it. And I know it's late in the season, so you might have to bookmark this for next year, but I'm going to show you guys how I do my king cake hack using crescent rolls from the grocery store, cinnamon, brown sugar, regular icing, either different color sugar, or I'll tell you this other thing that I do sometimes as well, where I dye the icing with Kool-Aid. Obviously you need your babies, and I got these at Party City, and then because I was at Party City, they were completely out of Mardi Gras decorations, y'all, because it's too late. So these are foil covered chocolates, and I picked through and got the Mardi Gras colors out. To me, this is way past my normal budget, but I did spend $3 for my friend, and it says, just here for the king cake, right? You gotta have a little bit of a decoration. I've got my pans lined, and I did get this cake box for the cake that I'm making for my friend. So I'm gonna make sure that the cake, and you can even take this out ahead of time and lay it down so you have a guide. But this was, I think, $2. If you wanted to just use one roll and make a smaller cake, you could use these little boxes from the Dollar Tree for a more personal size. But I'm making a bigger one for my friend today, so let's get started. So the crescent bread, I always smacked the tube, and it still wasn't opening. I had to smack them up against the refrigerator every single time. Well, except for this time. I'm going to give you a little bit of a heads up. This pops. But look, $3.75 for 9 to 12 minutes. But it's actually 15 minutes is what I put it in there for. Make sure your oven is preheating. And I had forgot to butter my pan, so I had to do that. Yeah, don't let these things scare you. I know a lot of people joke around about biscuits and stuff, that pop sound is scary, but it's really not. But it startled me a few minutes ago. Okay, so this is the messy one. This is the first one I made, and this ended up being ours. I knew I was rusty. I knew I hadn't done it in a while, but also there's one way that I make it a lot where I just kind of squish it together. That was the first one, but this is the second one, so pay close attention to this. See how I lay this out into a square shape? This is the easy way to do it, and it comes out a lot nicer, and it's not as sloppy. But if you end up messing up, that's why I wanted to show you guys the other one, and I'm going to show you that how it turned out in a little bit. But this is what this looks like. See the little holes in the serrated areas? You need to go back and just kind of pinch that stuff shut. It'll be just fine. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to show you what I did. I'm going to show you again so you can see it's not perfect. This is a very easy thing to do. I used about a heaping tablespoon of cinnamon, and I just sprinkled it all over the whole thing. I think I actually used a spoon, and I moved it around a little bit. I used about the same amount of brown sugar. Now, you have to be careful when you get your brown sugar on your pan, because when the oven is on, it will cook and it will burn, and you don't want it to burn to the crescent bread. It's that easy. I'm folding in the corners, and then I just roll it in, and you'll still see the cinnamon and you'll still see gaps, but it'll be okay. That's part of what makes this so good. Now these corners are the part that's going to take the longest to cook. So when you take it out at 15 minutes, if you just kind of check in one of those corners and it looks doughy, put it in for just like maybe 2 more minutes. But look at that. Looks crazy, huh? But this is how it looks. So don't make yourself crazy if you're trying to do this. Because my Frankenstein king cake, the first one I made that was crazy and messy, I'm going to show it to you. It came out perfect. So we're going to put it in at 375 for 15 minutes. Now we're done. Look at that. That's my Frankenstein one. It's beautiful. Look at that. While these were cooking, I started on my lid. I just alternated yellow, purple, and green, and then I wrote Les de la Bon Temps Roulé on there. Had to find the perfect little spot for each of the babies. This one I'm doing now, that one I'm doing now, is the one I made for my friend. So I used the plate from the box to scoop up the first one. That's the one for my friend, and I just put mine in a cake pan. I'm just using icing, and I'm showing you what I'm doing because you have to be very careful to make sure when you pull this metal top off, that aluminum foil, you get it all off because this is going in the microwave. Now, I put it in there for about 15 seconds and it wasn't ready, so I put it in for another 15. That's not soft enough. I want it, the way I do it, to be very, very liquid. See that? And you can drizzle it on very carefully with a spoon, just like this. It works, it really does. But you want to try to do this a little fast because if you do this too slow, you won't have time to get your sugar on there before the icing dries. You want it still liquidy. This is the other method you can use, is pouring it on here like this. And I'm doing this on my friends. I know the icing is going to get in the middle. A little bit on the outside is fine. A little bit on the middle is fine as well. And I'm going to pretty much cover that center icing area with the colored sugar, which usually I dye my icing with either food dye or I use Kool-Aid powder packets. But you have to be careful because a teeny tiny bit of powder packet Kool-Aid goes a long way when it comes to flavor. So you might end up with grape flavor mixed with lime flavor, mixed with lemon flavor, mixed with the cinnamon and the sugar. So you have to be very careful with that. We just happen to have purple, yellow, and green sugar. So I was like, hey, I'm just going to do it this way. It's the first time actually I've ever done it this way. I always dye my icing. But it's up to you. But just remember, whether it's dye or the Kool-Aid, if you dye your icing in little cups in the microwave, a little bit goes a long way. And look at what we have. This is a little sneak peek. This is before I put the yellow sugar on there. This is my method. I always use the caps to my advantage for everything, whether it's sugar, herbs. Okay. I left this in here. I'm leaving this in there so you can see how goofy I get when I cook. It smelled like molasses to me, and I was absolutely dumbfounded and mesmerized, and I was like, what? And I was watching this when I was editing, and I started cracking up, so I thought, I'll leave that in there so you guys can crack up too. You can rewind that and watch my face. The first sniff of the yellow sugar, I was like, what? But I got to tell you guys, sorry about the neighbor's dog barking. I got to tell you guys, I do not like this brand of sugar. It's from Pop Shelf. And it was very clumpy and sticking together. Again, I'm sorry about the dog if you can hear it. My neighbor leaves the dog out sometimes. But you know what? This is what we had, and so this is what we used. And I'm very much about using what you have when you can. And here's the other thing. I figured might as well. Y'all can see my tattoo. That is my blue crab and my shrimp boat. I drew these. I've had these tattoos for a long time. If you're wondering what in the world qualifies me to try to tell you that you can make a king cake like this out of crescent bread from the, even the discount section of your grocery store, maybe my tattoos qualify me. What do you think, huh? Check it out. I've never had a complaint. When I was a single mom living in housing, I used to make these all the time and I sold them for 25 bucks a piece. And they all have the baby in them. And growing up as a little girl in my neighborhood anyways, we all had that one baby doll that was baby Jesus. And my kid was asking me about this today. And I said, it's just in our culture. We all had a baby Jesus doll. You don't pick the baby in the king cake. The baby picks you. Okay? Happy Mardi Gras. Hey guys, so my friend's is ready and boxed up, and I have to be careful, but it's ready to go. So I'm about to drive that over there. But in the meantime, I was a little bit rusty on this. I haven't made this cake since before the pandemic, and I'm trying to not be too loud because my husband's sleeping on the couch. And I don't remember what I did with the baby. It's in there somewhere. Cut into this and try just a little bit. Now this was the crazy one. This was the more crazy one, and it will fall apart more readily than the other one. But this is what it looks like on the inside. You can see a little bit the cinnamon and the sugar are making a mess. And I made a mistake that I know better than to make, and I made it on this one, so it's part of the reason why we kept the more funky one. Is there was sugar that got on the pan, and of course it was burning, and it burnt to the bottom of this cake, but not that cake. I didn't want to make this today, but I'm glad I did, because I haven't got to have this in a long time, and I miss it. Les éléments temps roulé.